Well, hello, beautiful ones. I am Stacey Murphy, the head vixen of the Vixen Academy, and I want to welcome you to my podcast where I'm going to be talking about what true love magic is and how you can harness this oh so sassy power. But for those of you who are new to me and my community, you can find out more about my magical work at thevixenacademy.com. Again, that you can find out more about what I do at thevixenacademy.com. And if you are listening and viewing this podcast on YouTube, I invite you to hit like and subscribe so that you can get more videos like this. And down in the description area are links of how you can join my tribe and other little juicy goodness like that. So why don't we go ahead and hop on into our topic today about love magic. And there's a couple of reasons why I want to do this topic. One, the broad misconceptions, right, of what love magic truly is. And many times we are actually even performing love magic and we don't even know about it, right? So I'm actually going to share a story with you about how love magic works in real life. But here's the other reason why I'm sharing this story with you. Many of you know that I am a certified sex coach. But do you also know that I'm actually a certified love mystic? My specialty was love and money. And my background and my family, part of my family, we, have shamanism as a background from where my family is originally from. And so I follow on that side of the family. And so when I got my certification, as a mystic, getting the formal training and all this other stuff like that. That was like over 20 some years ago. And, it's one of those things where, being a coach, my family, friends, and all kinds of things, they would come to me for all kinds of help advice, whether it's practical or esoteric. It actually doesn't matter. But in my business, pretty much it's just you've been seeing my certified sex coach side, but you're going to be seeing more of the love and mystic side come out. But that's a subject for a different podcast. All right. So let's kind of talk about what love magic is. Now, I will tell you what love magic is not. Okay. Love magic is not about manipulation. Love magic is not some creepy person in a room, putting a potion in your drink or some other craziness like that you see on TV and all this other stuff. Love magic is about your intention. Love magic is about your vibe or your energy that you carry around with you. And love magic is also about being present. It's about faith. It's about belief, and their intentions are a different form of prayer, right? And so I wanted to kind of get that out of the way first so that we can have a fun time with this topic. And the best way to describe what love magic is, let me tell you two stories that really encapsulates what it is. So I hope you have paper and pen so you can take some juicy notes, because that's how I roll. So I shared this story a couple of weeks ago when I was actually doing the training from Sabotage to Secure. I was co-facilitating that training. Someone in that training had asked a question and it brought up me sharing this experience. And the ladies in the training had such a kick. They all had a kick out of the story that I shared, wanting me to share more. So I was like, you know what, let me go ahead and put this in a podcast, and which is what I'm doing right now. So this particular story that I shared a couple of weeks ago, I was making some runs. I had appointments to do for my business, but I had like a 2-hour gap, 2-3 hour gap between appointments. So I said, you know what, let me go to the bookstore, let me go in the cafe, and let me do some work there in between when I'm waiting for my next appointment. So, this is the day I was running around. So what I was wearing, I was just wearing like a jersey dress. I had on sandals. I had no makeup on. I had my mask and, my curls with my hair and my earrings, but I wasn't, dressed up to go clubbing or to network or anything like that. Dressed just like if you're going out to Target or something like that. So when I went into the bookstore, or should I say when I went into the cafe in the bookstore, I immediately noticed this scrumptious looking man. Oh my goodness. He looked so delicious. And I was just like, ooh, I would just love to have a conversation with him. I would love it if we can just, connect with each other while we hear. It would make these 2 hours that much more entertaining and stuff like that. So, of course, I went in the cafe. They were doing social distancing. So the tables were spread apart. Now, the table that I sat at was towards the front of the cafe where the window was. And because that was this free spot. And there was only one other table that was close to me, and another woman was sitting at the other table. Now, this man that I spotted, he was way further into the cafe, but it just happened to be where I sat was a direct line of sight to where he was sitting in the cafe. So I can clearly see him, which means he could clearly see me. So I sat down, I got my laptop out, all the stuff I wanted to do my work, yada, yada, yada. And every now and then, with my vixen peripheral vision, I would see him pull his head up, look at me, and then go back down to what he was doing. And I saw him do this, a couple of times. So I noticed, obviously he was noticing me. So I was sitting in my erect posture and my feminine energy was just oozing, right? Now, even though I was dressed like I was going to be going to Target or someplace like that on a Saturday afternoon, my energy internally was on charisma and seduction. I was oozing that feminine energy was coming out of my pores. And to give you a visualization, think of it this way. The cafe or any place that you walk into is like a still pond, right? Like a still pond. And what happens is your energy is like a pebble that is thrown in a still pond. So what happens when a pebble is thrown in a still pond? You see the waves that pebble makes in that still pond. Well, those waves, ladies, is your energy. That is how your energy vibration flows when you are out into the world, right? It's a radio signal that you are sending out. That is when I say your energy and your vibe, that is the frequency I'm talking about. Now that you have a concrete image of what that is, this is how love magic works. All right. So that energy is, I was sending that vibe out, right? And so what happened was, the lady that was sitting at the table next to me, she got her stuff, she packed up her stuff and she left. And then the server came and wiped down the table, and no more, not even 30 seconds after the server cleaned the table, the man that I was eyeing, the little eye candy I was looking at, he got up from the table that he was sitting at, and he moved and sat at the table right next to me. So you're taking lessons. Here's lesson number one. That man, he made the move. He made the first move to get to know me better, because he could have stayed exactly where he was sitting. He can clearly see me where he was sitting, but he moved to get closer to me to see if a conversation could develop. Right? So I'm giving you the sign so you can recognize this when men are flirting with you, okay? Because sometimes flirting is not really obvious when people are flirting, but you have to be perceptive and aware of the gestures. That's one of the gestures. So he made the first move by getting up and sitting at the table right next to me. So then I was like, I did say I would love to talk to him. So since he made the first move and he sat at the table next to me, I clearly could see he was studying something. So here's lesson number two. I asked him a question that required him to answer me and have an involved conversation. So the question, whenever you want to have an involved conversation with someone that you want to get to know, do not ask them a question that's just a yes or no answer, because that will land flat. You have to ask a question that requires them to respond with a sentence, a paragraph, or something. So here is the question that I asked him, since he moved right next to me. I said, hey, what are you studying? That is all I asked. And this is all the information I received from that simple ask. Well, I found out he is also an entrepreneur just like myself. He was there studying to get another certification, which was his real estate license, right? Just like I'm a certified sex coach and I'm a certified love mystic, he was also getting another certification in his business. Then I come to find out he is a single dad of a son, and he wants to be a really good example for his son. I learned that his brother also has his real estate license and also has his insurance license. And it took his brother 3 times to get his insurance license. And they all work together in like this family business, right? I got all of this intel, all of this information just by asking him what he was studying. Now, here's the other thing: when a man is interested in getting to know you, point number 3, lesson number 3, they will also ask you a question that requires you to also engage with them. So he asked me, what are you working on? Now, the reason why he said working on versus studying is he was studying a book. I was on my laptop the entire time. So he assumed I was working on something, and his assumption was correct. So I told him, oh, I am working on a training that I'm teaching. It was actually, I was working on the training from sabotage to secure. I was working on my half of that, ironic, right? So I told him I was working on this training. I'm a love and intimacy coach. And then you should have seen the look on his face. He said to me, what? He goes, I have never met anyone that is a love and intimacy coach until today. And it's my lucky day. And stuff. And that's what he said. And we started laughing and all this other stuff like that. And so he was really intrigued. So I shared more about my business and what I do, et cetera, et cetera. And so we were having a great conversation. And remember what I said to you when I walked in there? What was my intention? I would love to have a conversation with him. And that's exactly what I manifested. Is I manifested having that conversation with him, right? And so what happened was I looked at the time, and it was time for me I had to get ready, get my car, because I had to go drive to my next appointment. So as I was getting my stuff together, he was like, oh, you're leaving? And I was like, yeah, I have my next appointment that I have to go to. I was just stopping here, to kill some time in the middle before I have to leave, but I have to go. And he goes, oh, you're leaving? And he asked me the question again. And I knew by him asking the question a second time, he wanted me to stay, and he was trying to fish. He was fishing to see if he could get my phone number. But what happens is, this is how, in ladies, when you're in contact with a man that is perceived to be a high quality man, they're not going to be pushy with you. They're not going to impose themselves on you. What they're going to do is they're going to make very subtle moves like this gentleman did. The first move he did was move at a place that was closer to me. So he made the first move. Then I made the second move by asking him a question that required him to have a conversation with me. Then he made the next move by asking me a question about myself, because he wanted to get to know me a little bit more, right? And so with me getting ready to leave, what he was waiting for was to get the invitation to get my phone number, which would have been something like this. If I had said to him, this has been a really awesome conversation, but I really have to go to my next appointment. If you're open to it, we can continue this conversation at a later time. And that would have been the invitation to give me his number. Now, here's the next lesson. Don't give your number, get their number. Here's why. Is because when you give a man your phone number, here is usually the next thing that happens. Oh, the itty bitty shitty committee will come pay you a visit. Oh my God, when is he going to call me? I haven't heard from him. We met a couple of hours ago, or we met yesterday. Maybe I missed the signals and he wasn't interested in me. Okay, you know where I'm going with that, right? Okay, so that's the itty bitty shitty committee. And so to quiet that down, you get the man's phone number, which then puts you in the position he's waiting on you to contact him. Isn't that a change of events, right? Puts the shoe on the other foot. So you get their phone number. And when you do get their phone number, you text and you say, now you have my number. Good to talk with you. We can continue this conversation. When would you like to do that? Right? So you see how I navigated that whole thing. But what happens, ladies, it all started from that love magic, putting out that intention. So I was crystal clear with my intention. I was sending out my seductive, sassy vibes. He picked up on that. He responded accordingly. And I had a wonderful conversation because that was my only objective. And then I left, right? And so that is a real life example of what love magic feels like. And so the reason why I wanted to give you that real world example, because you may have been experiencing and doing love magic in your own life and you didn't even know it, girlfriend, right? And so I wanted to share that with you, because many times when people think of love magic, they're thinking of potions and crystals and all kinds of stuff like that. Now, mind you, that also is part of love magic, but not in the way that you're thinking, right? What happened is when you're dealing with oils, that is aromatherapy. When you're wearing colors that exude love, like, rose quartz, which is pink, or a garnet, which is a red crystal, that is color therapy that you're using. And then with crystals, you're using the healing power of the earth to help you with your intention. All of that is working on your magic. I mean, your energy, right? All of that is working on your energy so you can be more magical and magnetic to people that you come in contact with. And so that story I shared with you is how that looks. Now, that was a couple of weeks ago. Now, something happened to me 2 days ago, what I wanted to share with you, which is still love magic. And here's why. Part of this story for me is many of you, if you're in my community, you know that the relationship I have been in for the past 6 years, last year, I stepped back from that relationship. And now myself and my former partner, we're intimate friends, we're intimate companions. We know each other very well. We still have keys to each other's places. We're just not partners in terms of a dating relationship anymore, right? But what happened, so I took a couple of months to myself, because one of the things I realized last year is I was like, wow, Stacey, you have been coupled for nearly 20 years. And so I wanted to take a little bit of me time for myself to kind of reground myself in my own yummy, sassy energy. And now I'm in a place where I am ready to start dating again. So a couple of months ago, about like 2-3 months ago, I started working on my sassy energy, putting my tentacles, and I'm working on my own energy, right? That's how you do this. You work on your own energy first. So I was working on my energy to get back into that yumminess and get back into that free agent mentality. Free agents, those are my single ladies. I call them free agents. And getting back into that headspace and that energy and everything else. So now I'm starting to get out there again and put my feelers out there. And here is one indication of where you can know where your love magic energy is coming from. Look at how people are treating or connecting with you when you're out and about. How are people reacting to you? What are the conversations that are having? That is actually going to tell you where your energy vibration is at. That is going to tell you if your love magic is on or if it's off, okay? By the people, how they're starting to react to you. So 2 days ago, I went for a really quick run. I had to run to Office Depot. And I looked at the time, I was like, oh my gosh, they're almost going to get close. So I threw on a workout outfit. I threw on my workout outfit, my sneakers, no makeup again. I threw my mask on. I ran out the door so I can get there. And I got there 5 minutes before they closed. Well, in this particular shopping plaza where the Office Depot is, there's this Indian restaurant that I like to go to. But I always call ahead of time so I can just walk in, grab, and go. Well, I didn't have the opportunity to do this. So when I went there, they said, hey, it's going to take about 20 minutes. I was like, okay, I'll wait around, I'll make a run, and I'll come back. All right. So I left, I came back, but instead of 20 minutes later, I came back like 45 minutes later. So I went inside, I was in the lobby area, I was waiting to get my food. A couple of people were starting to come in behind me. And I noticed there was this one other guy who was coming in, but he didn't have a mask on. And so I turned forward because I'm one of those people that is in the high risk category for COVID because I have a blood condition. So I have to be really careful. So when I saw this gentleman, he was still outside, but he was getting ready to come in, but he didn't have a mask on. I just turned and faced forward so I wouldn't face him, even though I had my mask on. So I got my food. Everybody, all the other people got their food, and I'm assuming this gentleman got his food as well. I don't know because I wasn't facing him. But there was something that wasn't quite right with my order. So I had to stay there and wait so they can bring something back to me. Then I heard this. I heard this voice from behind me, and the voice said, hey, what did you order? And it was a man's voice. When I turned around, it was that guy that didn't have a mask on. Now, I'm not going to be the mask police, right? And, where's your mask and all this other stuff. So I'm not even getting into any of that. So we were social distancing and everything else. So I answered his question. But when I was talking with him, I was like, this dude, he is good looking too. A little tenderoni. I have all kinds of names for guys. But what happened is I was like, oh, he was a little tenderoni. I mean, he was also built. You can tell he worked out because he was wearing kind of like a workout outfit as well, but his were shorts. He had his sneakers on, but you can see all the muscles and everything else, just like the dude that was in the cafe in the bookstore. He was also built as well. So I was like, he just looks so scrumptious as well. But he was so nice, and he was asking me about questions about the food, and I could tell by the questions he was asking, he was trying to get to know me as well. So I was like, enjoy the conversation and have it. So him and we were talking, la, 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 la. And what have you is he had his food, I had my food, but we were talking, we were still social distancing and everything else. And it was a really cool conversation. He was a really cool dude. He had to have been at least 15 years younger than me or something like that, because he did look young. But he was really, really, really nice. So he literally, even though he had his food for takeout, he was just engaged in this conversation with me. So we both, walk out the door. Obviously, he lets me go out first, being a gentleman. And then, nice speaking with you. I walk to my car, and then he's just standing there, just looking at me. Walk to my car and stuff like that. And then when I got in my car, I said, girl, your love mojo is on point, because I'm not even wearing any makeup. I'm not even dressed up. I'm not, I'm not wearing a sexy skirt. I'm not wearing heels, nothing like that. And the attention is still rolling in. I was like, all right, my man Radar, it's okay. Brushed off some little bit of cobwebs. My man Radar is on point. Just keep doing what we're doing. And ladies, that is love magic. All right. At least that's the foundation of it. There's so much more that's involved in it, but that's the foundation of love magic, where I'm actually going to be doing more training like this, more specifically in 2022. So stay tuned for all that. And I'm going to have little dribbles that I'm going to be doing for the rest of this year. So I wanted to share that is what true love magic is. And so here are a couple of things I want you to be aware of, to even ask yourself about your own magical energy, right? And here's the other thing is, I was happy. I was bopping around, doing my thing, just enjoying life. and just being present, being willing to be seen, and just really being in my authentic charisma and seduction. And in the attention that I was getting, it showed that people were feeling it. They were that still pond, and I was the pebble, and they felt the wave of my energy and they responded. So, here are a couple of things I want you to be cognizant of so you can step into this own magical energy for yourself. So, the first thing is what is preventing you from living a magical life, right? From that's keeping you from your happiness, right? So I want you to think of magical as happy, okay? So what is preventing you from being happy and from having that pixie dust that is in your life, right? And so I want you to think about that. What is in your way from preventing you from being happy? And then who or what is blocking you? Who is involved in that, right? So, and that would be obligations, right? So, what is blocking you from your happiness so that you can exude your magical essence? Okay. And then ask yourself why you're allowing either another person or circumstances or an obligation keep you from your happiness and having a magical life. Because what happens is they are messing up your flow. They are controlling your happiness. So here it's about taking that back for yourself where it belongs, right? And so the next thing you have to then say to yourself or ask yourself, who do you have to say no to so you can say yes to your happiness? Who do you have to say no to so you can say yes to having a magical life, attracting the experiences and people that you desire to have in your world? And so then here is the last part. Once you realize who do you have to say no to so you can say yes to yourself, then the last part that you have to do is take inspired action and actually do it, right? So when I was doing my hosting my summit, one of the experts that I interviewed, she said something, and I said, girl, I'm going to use that. I'm going to take that. I'm just letting you know. I'm going to use that because it was stellar what she said. What she said was, you can't just woo, you have to do. Okay. Now, partly here is yes, we're a society of doers, 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 and all this other stuff. And you hear from a lot of coaches, you need to be, you need to be. Yes, you do need to be. But what happens is once you realize how you need to be for yourself, then you need to take the action and actually do it. Okay. So what happens is that is the kind of doing, inspired action, not just doing for an obligation for sake, right? So then that's the last one is taking inspired action, right? And so what happens is if you want to take inspired action, I invite you to go to my website, share, look at some other stories, blogs, and things that I do. Maybe there's something there that can inspire you to take an inspired action. And if you are listening to this podcast on YouTube, I invite you to check out my other videos that I've done and other podcasts I've put on YouTube so you can get inspiration from there so you can take inspired action. All right. And so this is what true love magic is and how you right now can harness that power. And I know some of you listen to this and you're like, wow, I didn't even know that's what I was doing already. And so I just brought this awareness to your world so you can be more intentional with what it is that you're doing so you can be in alignment with what it is that you want to magically manifest into your world. All right. So yes, I said, if you want to learn more about me and what I do, you can check me out at thevixenacademy.com. And with that, everyone, if you want to join my tribe, you can click on the link down below if you're listening to this on YouTube, and you can join my sassy community from there. And with that, everyone, namaste. We are complete, and go out and have a magical and beautiful life. Bye-bye.